Welcome, welcome. Um, okay. How are you all doing? Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Great, great, great. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. This is great. Welcome. Welcome, and we'll keep showing up. Today, we're going to be talking about straight into it. We're going to be talking about how I bought my first rental property. And today, it is just to help professionals or to help others to learn how to build real wealth. Okay? How to buy your first real estate property. That's what we'll be talking about today. Okay? Understanding that understanding that buying real estate is one of the major tools of building wealth. We've already established this, saying that give me 1 second. Uh, yeah, so how to buy, how I bought. Welcome. Let me know where you're connecting from. I bought my first rental in you, YouTube. This. Turn your idea. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, you. Meet Durable, your AI business partner. Everything you need to start your business, all within one platform. Just type in your idea. Durable builds your website. Welcome. How are you? Professional and ready for customers. Over 3 million businesses have already launched with Durable. No more expensive freelancers costing you thousands of dollars, and no coding knowledge required. Hello, hello. All-in-one AI. Welcome. Logos, social posts, and business. Welcome, welcome. For you. Save hours of work every week, and once you're live, Durable runs your complete business suite too. Manage your leads and customers. Okay. Welcome everyone. How are you all doing today? And I was just trying to edit this. Hello, welcome. How are you doing today? We're going to be talking about something very important. Let me know where you're connecting from. I am here in Texas, United States, and if you're just meeting me, I am Dr. Lena. I do talk about money, building wealth, and of course, lifestyle that comes with it. That's what I talk about. And today we are going to be talking about how I bought my first real estate property and how you can buy yours as a professional or as someone that is building wealth. We already established one fact. You just trying to earn a loan, you earning an income alone, that your 9 to 5 is not going to help you build wealth. What build wealth? It's becoming the rich dad. It's based on your asset. Asset is what helps to build wealth. And that's what we are going to be talking about today. It's going to be a very impactful class. That's what we wanted. How I have bought my own real estate property. If you are meeting me for the first time, I'm a doctor of business and technology. And of course, I am the first one. Sorry that you got Novia. That's fine. Yeah. Awesome. And by the way, if you're meeting me for the first time, I am the serial investor. So I do buy real estate, fix it, and of course, I put it on long-term rental because it creates lasting wealth. I have understood one thing: you're earning a loan, your salary, your paycheck will not help you build wealth. It will help you pay bills, okay? Will help you pay bills. That's what it does, but it definitely does not help you build lasting wealth. What helps you to build lasting wealth is a function of assets, and that's what we talked about yesterday. And today we did talk about yesterday. We talked about how you're going to go about it, and we never the other part of it is real estate. So one is simple ETFs, compounding interest, and all of that. Like VOO, QQQ, SCHD, S&P 500, simple index fund. That's what we have talked about of ways of building wealth, right? But today we're going to be talking about what is going to make the journey quicker, which is real estate. I am not a real estate I'm not a realtor, I am a real estate investor. Two different things. So you probably a real estate a realtor, okay? A realtor is somebody that is earning, right? A realtor is somebody like earning like you and I, right? But I am different. I am a real estate investor. and I just help people build lasting wealth. That's my goal, right? Because I want most professionals, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, right? They're living paycheck to paycheck, and I say we can build wealth. If you're a part of this community, the goal is that in 10 years you're a millionaire. You get your first million by 2036. This is not a get rich quick scheme. If you are here to just, you want something that is quick tomorrow and all of that. No, this is not what I do. I talk about simple system, consistency. Those are things I talk about, that you can build wealth for yourself, for your children. So you're thinking of your kids' education, how to fund their college. We talk about things about how to enjoy your life, okay? And this whole paycheck to paycheck cycle, working because you want to, you feel like doing your 9 to 5, not because you are forced, okay? Not because you have to, because you have to pay bills, okay? Thank you all for joining, and thank you all for sharing the life. And like I said, today's title is how I bought my first rental property, and how you're going to be able to do that, if because understanding that real estate is one of the ways to build wealth. Your salary, that paycheck that you have been working 9 to 5, is just an enabler, because it's what you do with it. It is what you do with it that helps you to build wealth. So welcome, and it's going to be very impactful, because I'll be telling you things, I'll be teaching you things that I have utilized for the past several years of building real estate. I manage double digits real estate portfolio, and that's one thing that qualifies me to talk about this today. I manage it from start to finish, from buying it right to renting it to returning, getting returns on it, the issues that comes with it, what I experienced, the side of real estate that nobody wants to talk about. We'll talk about it. And your concern about investing in real estate, we've already established one thing. One thing is that when your salary, your paycheck, okay, your paycheck is only going to help you pay bills. That's it. Okay, that your 9 to 5, you've done 6 hours today or 5 hours today. Okay, from 8 hours, you started 8 a.m. Now it's already 12:30. You have already done 4 hours or 5 hours, right? That thing that you have spent there your time on is basically going to pay bills. It's what you do with it, okay? Investing in the right places, okay? That is what is going to help you build lasting wealth. Thank you all for sharing and if you have not subscribed, if you haven't followed, consider doing that right now, because this is going to help you. This is going to be life changing. That I can tell you, because it has been life changing for me, to give me the option of saying that even with my 6-figure job and my position as a vice president of technology, I can decide to walk away. I can decide to walk away. It's giving me the options to walk away if I decide to walk away. That's it. That's what it has helped me to do, because I am getting multiple income. I'm getting income from other sources other than what? Other than your pay, other than my paycheck, my 9 to 5, okay? Other than my vice president of technology income, okay? And if you're wondering, I am not a doctor of business, I am a doctor of technology. And I'm not a doctor of medicine, I'm a doctor of business and technology, okay? And of course, I'm a serial investor. So welcome, and welcome to this community. Today I have two communities together. I do have the YT community and I have the TikTok community. So like TT on one end. So you would see me, in case you see me, comment on, so that you understand if I'm saying something, so you understand that it's because we're looking at multiple platforms at the same time, so we can be more efficient. Okay. Only welcome, Tony. Welcome. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing that. If you haven't followed, consider doing that. And today it's about how I bought my first rental property. I know this is an interesting topic, because every time I have a post about real estate, everyone wants to know, so how can I get into real estate, right? How do I, it's too hard. Those are things I get to. I don't have an education. It's so hard, or I've seen people fail about it. Somebody, the house went on, there's having issue with the property because he's losing money on the property. That is very possible because you lack education, okay? If you lack education, it's a major investment. So you want to, as much as possible, get the education you need before you venture into it, especially with the fact that it requires a lot of, it requires money for you to start. And of course, and I'm just trying to change this header. Let me just take it out if it's possible. It's not. Okay, great, great, great. So thank you all for sharing the life. And if you can, for the TT community, consider just tapping out the life. If you can get it to 1,000, let's start with 1,000 first, and then we'll can also share the life so we can start it. I'll try to avoid people coming back because this is step by step. Okay, you don't want to miss any part of it because at the end of this, you should be able to at least be comfortable. Okay, about how to buy the real wealth. So most people, one thing that I want to say, and I'll try to have structure today. Okay, most people think you need hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, to buy a rental property, but my first rental property costed me less than many people spend in a car. If you care to share, how much is your car? How much is your car? Put it in the comment section. Two questions I'm going to ask you: how much is your car? And if you can also share how much is your car, that's one. Two, is how much do you think, the deposit of a how much do you think you need to buy real estate? How much do you think you need to put in to be able to get your first rental property? If you can put in the comment section, that would be great. How much is your car? Okay. How much is your car? I know my car was it's pretty expensive, right? But then how much is your car? Even if it's a Toyota, is how much is it? And then how much do you think you need to start the real estate journey? How much do you think? How much do you think you need to start the real estate journey? Okay, put in the comment section. And for everyone that is here, Shaks Ait, how are you? And Kendrick, how are you? And welcome, welcome, and thank you all for sharing the live. Let me know how much do you, Richard, welcome. How much is your car, right? And then how much do you think you need? Okay, how much do you think you need to buy your first real estate property, your first rental? Either you are using the strategy of you want to be what's it called, you want to house arc, right? And you bought the first house, you want to live in there, stay there for 1 year, then you buy the next one. If that's your goal, how much do you think it requires, right? And then how much did you buy your car? Okay, that's my first question. All right. Like for me, when I bought my first real estate, my first rental property, and I'm going to be going all out for, just so I can help as much people as possible, because I get this question a lot. How much was my first rental property? Okay. I personally, I would like it for those that are just meeting me. I'm a doctor of business and technology. And I'm also a vice president of technology. And do not be intimidated by that, because as of years ago when I started, I was just an analyst in technology. That's basically who I am at that point. And of course, I have family. We were trying to grow. We were trying to build everything, and it was a lot. I had a lot of bills. I had my bills. I was just like a normal, I mean, like a normal, a normal average person going to work 9 to 5 and all of that, and the bills coming and all of that. But then I realized that, there was one thing that I realized: we were putting 529 towards the kids' education, the college education. That's one of the things that you'll be hearing here. I'm very passionate when it comes to kids' education, because I talk about generational wealth, right? Wealth that is lasting, wealth that is going to grow, right? Beyond you, take care of you, take care of your children, take care of your retirement. Those are things that I talk about, right? So I was thinking about a 529 for children's college. A lot of people are also, probably doing the 529 program right now. And I realized that there was just, I put money and the money wasn't growing, right? Money wasn't growing. And I realized that, okay, there isn't, it grows and comes down. Then I started thinking that, okay, with the 529, what's going to happen? If these kids I'm grooming them to get scholarship. If they get scholarship, it means, where does the money go? Does it mean that I lose the money? And then in terms of financing, they would not be able to get some financing, because that's part of the things that they calculate when they want to give you, some scholarship and some loans and, student. I mean, I'm not even talking about student loan, but they would also take into debt. Let's say they want to give grants and all of that, qualify for some financing, right? They would not get all of that, because they would take factor into account anything that is in their name, including 529 and all of that. And I realized that, okay, this is almost like, you know almost shooting them in the feet, because um, first the money might not be sufficient, but then it also stops them from the opportunity that they would need. Because first of all, my income is going to limit them. Okay, but then the second part of it is that because I've saved so much I've put some money in their name in 529, it's going to minimize how much that they can qualify for. Let's assume that they don't get scholarship. And when they get scholarship, does it mean that I will lose all this money or they won't be able to use it? You know, and that was it. And then I said, okay, there has to be a better way. And that's how I got into real estate. Okay. That is how I got into real estate. At that time, we already bought our first rent, I mean, our first home. And that's why I said, okay, let's look at it. What are the options available? So I looked at it and I said, okay, for real estate, um, I started saving money. So like the same money that I had in the 529, I was like, okay, you know what? Instead of me putting in 529, I'm just going to put it in a separate account. If I already, by the time I get to figure it all out about this 529 thing, understanding that I've already put in the 529 is already locked away. The one I already put there, it's already locked away. Um, and for anybody that's just joining, we are talking about how I bought my first real estate property and what how you can buy yours and why should you even invest in real estate. We talked about that for days. Okay. And that's what we're talking about. So mine was through 529. Okay. And then I said, okay, you know what? Let me start putting that same money. Okay. Repurpose the money. Let me start putting it towards let me put it towards real estate. Just put it in an account while I figure out, instead of putting 529, while I figure out where to put the money. And thank you all for tapping out the live and everybody that's joined. Thank you all for doing that. And thank you for sharing the live, and for the YT community. Thank you all for also staying here. Let me know where you're connecting from. So I did. So I realized that, okay, you know what? Let me go get education. I realized that real estate is the only asset class. I, when I started doing, I started doing training, going online to just figure out something. Then I realized that, okay, one thing they said was, with real estate is, we pay you through you're going to use the bank's money, you use the tenant's money. So tenants pays you, you pay the bank, but then you get a cash flow. The difference between it is yours. Okay, I said, okay, that is return on investment. That's amazing, right? The second thing is understanding that I'm also a chartered accountant, right? And I'm also an economist, right? I did that. I was like, okay, the second thing that I was told when I did the research was, number two, I'm going to be able to get equity. So the money that I'm paying the bank is reducing how much that I'm owing the bank. I said, okay, that's number two. All right. So it means that I can actually save more. So let's assume that when the child was born, just the same way I was putting money in 529. Okay. I also do that when it comes to I start putting it towards real estate. It means that if I'm paying that mortgage, of course, I'm using the tenant's money, right? If I'm paying that mortgage every single month and the child becomes 18 when it's time for college, it means that I would have almost paid more than 50% of this mortgage. I would have almost paid it off on this property. That's number two. That is equity. And then I was told that, okay, with this equity, I can actually, it's actual cash. I can actually take it out. I said, oh, that's fantastic. It means that I can still have the property, but then still able to take the money just in case the child decides to go, study something like a surgeon, or you want to be a surgeon, or you want to be a lawyer, all of those expensive degree. I said, okay, that's okay. So it means that I can still have that building, but then still be able to take lump sum money when the time comes when this child is here. Okay, that's great. Then number three, I also understood that a property doubles its value if you buy it in the right places and you manage it right. It doubles its value every 10 years. I said, oh, okay. That means that this property that I buy, $200,000, okay, I can literally increase the value, double its value in 10 years. Okay. So it means in 20 years, when this child becomes 20, it means that the property would almost be triple its value. That's check. Okay. So it just requires me to just buy it in the right places, get the right education. Ebony, welcome. And Afinance, thank you so much for the likes. And every other person, mostly Sheila, thank you. And today we are talking about how I bought my first rental. Okay, understanding that earning is just going to help you pay your bills, and wealth building it is just going to be based on real estate and of course investing in simple ETFs, which is what we talked about yesterday. Now today is about real estate, which is the most interesting one that's going to help you build the wealth faster. Okay, so today I bought my first rental property and how you too can buy the same thing as a professional. So and I realized that okay, there's the appreciation was the third one, right? Then the fourth one that I also realized is okay, you know, I can also get tax deduction. Remember, I am earning decent income as a professional, right? That's why I always say skills. It starts with your skills. It starts because there's something that has to start that lifestyle. There's something that you need to start with. So I said, okay, you know what? Okay, I can also get tax deduction, which was like the mind blowing part of it. Meaning that when I put my money, okay, I basically put my money, I get my salary, and when it's tax season, I can get some money back. The money that I would have necessarily given or by compulsion given to what's it called? I would have Rufi, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for joining the Ada Martins, welcome. I said the money that I would have given to Uncle Sam anyways, right? Anyways, this money can actually come back to my pocket and I can actually use it towards my kids' education. Then I was like, okay, yes, there is something here because it's paying me four different ways instead of the 529 that is just one thing, and it is still very bureaucratic. It is still very and that's my story of how I got into real estate because today we're talking about I bought my first rent real estate property and how you can buy that, how you can use that to fund your kids' education, build generational wealth, and of course, if your goal is to step off the hamster wheel and the paycheck to paycheck circle, how this can also help you to build it. Diana Getaways and Matilda, welcome, welcome here. So, having said that, I did ask a question: How much do you put on your car, and how much do you think it costs to, to start your first rental property? Put in the comment section if you care to share. And when I bought my first rental property, yes, I was, right now I'm a vice president of technology, but before, I was just, I'm just an analyst, trying to also live life and all of that. And I decided to say, okay, every single month, I started with the 529 money, right? The money I was putting on 529, I started putting in a separate account. Stop the 0529 all along and started putting that money in that account. That was one. Then I said, okay, you know what? How much does it require, right, to put into real estate? Okay. How much does it require? And I'm checking, I'm trying to have structure now because otherwise I will just be going AWire, right? I will just be going everywhere because I'm just super excited to talk about real estate because it's helped me to build wealth. Okay. So, but the thing that works for me is number one, discipline. Because remember, I started putting money away, through 529. It has helped me to create some form of discipline and automation, right? I also started putting money in simple ETFs, right? I mean, not simple ETFs at that time. I was putting money in the stock market, which was also driving discipline, right? So I already started understanding, okay, how to invest, but not totally. Okay. So that's why I always say if you're just a beginner investor, start with your IA savings account and start with your simple ETFs like S&P 500, like a VOO, QQQ, SCHG. Start with that first. Automate it. See that you are comfortable and you are returning money on that before you jump into real estate. Okay. Before you jump into real estate. Awesome. So I already have that discipline. So how much because the next thing for me was how much I need to start real estate? And that's a big question for everyone. So put in the comment section, how much do you think it requires to start to invest in real estate? How much do you think? Do you think it's 50,000? Do you think it's 100,000? Do you think it's 300,000? How much do you think? How much do you think? Okay. How much do you think you need to put into real estate? How much do you think you need to start real estate, to buy your first property. And by the way, I am not a realtor, I am a real estate investor with double digit real estate portfolio. Okay. I am a real estate investor. That's who I am. Okay. All right. Anybody care to share? How much do you think you need to invest in real estate? All right. I think I just have a quiet group today. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to and understandably, some people might not, if you were like me when I started that, I did not even have an idea of what we are talking about when it comes to real estate, and I just changed my board. So let's say let's go here. Okay. So let's go to the board and talk about this, right? Whenever you are buying a property, okay, whenever you want to buy your first rental property, and I'll tell you. So for me, when I started, what was required for me to start was about I needed 20% down. So when it comes to investing, you require like 20% down payment. All right. 20% is what you need. All right. However, you can do 20%, but if you haven't bought a property before, you are the first time you can use the FHA loan. Okay. FHA is going to give you it's 3.5%. So instead of you putting down 20%, you're putting down 3.5%. Okay. 3.5% is all that you need for a start. 3.5%. Okay. If you are just you're just buying the first property the first time, and this is your home, you can use the 3.5%, but it has a plus, it has a requirement. Thank you all for sharing the live, and thank you all for all of the taps as you're here. I know we are all locked in. Let us tap the live all the way out, or let's keep tapping the live, like all of the lights. Thank you so much for that. So FHA is the second strike. But in my own case, because like I said, we already got our first rental property, right? I mean, our first home at that time. So, but what did I do? Because I required 20% down. Investment property requires 20% down. Let me, so that we can see me and we can see the board. Okay, I think this is better. So FHA requires, I mean, down payment for investment property, you require 30%. I mean 20%. That's what if you are in the US, regardless if you're it's regardless if you're a citizen or a green card holder or whatever, it requires 20% down. The remaining 80% is what the bank finances. That is what they call mortgage, right? So I started with 20% down because my first home, we already used the 3.5, even though we did more than that. We already did 3.5, so we couldn't utilize the FHA loan. Okay, we couldn't utilize that. So what does this mean? When we wanted to buy our first property, we looked at, okay, the first thing that I needed to do was making sure our credit was good. All right. Number one is our credit, because you require like 730 and above. Okay, I already said 730 and above for you to get a good interest. 730 and above. The other thing was, what is the down payment, which is what I'm talking about. Okay, down payment require 20% for investment property. If it's FHA, it's 3%. Okay, all right, so we required the 20%. My credit had to be, I mean, it was higher than 730, but I targeted 730 credits. Okay. And then the next thing that I said, okay, you know what? This 20% is such a huge amount, right? At that point, right? But then I said, okay, you know what? How do if you put this money down and you do not get sufficient education, then it's almost like a waste. It's almost like a waste. That's where you hear people say that, I'm not, I did not buy it. I want to sell it. My tenant is frustrating me. This is so much work. It's not passive anymore. It's frustrating. The prices of the property is now lower because I bought a condo. Those are things that so I said the third thing that was very important was education. So this which one was the most important, which is education, right? So understanding that, okay, my credit, um so like I said, I focused on, like the credit, to make sure that I was growing it. I was making sure that I was paying my credit every single, I was paying it quicker, within the billing cycle. So no late payments. I was using it as a debit card, so to speak, because then that started helping me to grow my credit. And of course, I went all the way. I think it was 750 or something, or even more, when we wanted to buy the first real estate property. And then the down payment. So I got the education and realized that, okay, for me to buy, right, to buy right, because the buying right was number one thing. Buying right. When I got education, buy right was the first thing. So what does it mean to buy right? Okay, what does it mean to buy right? Okay, what does it mean to buy right? It means that you understand. Ziva, thank you. Welcome, welcome here. Glory to God. Welcome here. What does it mean to buy right? To buy right, it simply means that you know you are buying it at almost. Think about, you want to buy Sephora, or you want to buy something in Macy's, right? But then they are buying, you're waiting, you're saying that, what, I need to buy it at a discount. Something of that nature. You're buying it at a discount. That is what it means when you are saying you're buying it right. If they tell you that, oh, you want to, they're selling this pair of shoe, let's say the pair of shoe is $30, and because everybody loves this shoe, it's now $35. Would you still buy it when you know that, okay, you know what, I can still buy another one, still satisfy the same purpose, it's still nice? Would you? But this one is $25. Which one are you going to buy? I will buy the one of $25, because it's still the same thing, but it's just that, some people just decide, maybe because this one has publicity. Personal finance, welcome here. Maybe because this one has publicity, that's the reason why people are buying from this. That's why there's the pressure. And people are buying that. But you just wait and say that, okay, you know what, Stephanie, welcome. How are you? Hello, welcome, welcome, Stephanie. So you basically would say that, you know what, I'm going to just wait. And if I can wait another 1 week, and now they're selling it at the discount. Some people, I mean, some of us wait for Black Friday. What am I even saying? Some of us wait for, no, some we are basically just starting, and today we're talking about how to buy real estate. And by the way, Stephanie is one of those people that want to take buying the first real estate property. Thank you for the daily admin, and thank you all for tapping out the live. So the goal is for us to get to 20,000 today, on tapping out the live. All right. So you would wait for a Black Friday, right? You are already in September. So, and they say that, okay, by Black Friday, you will get it at a discount. Won't you buy? I just wait for it to say that, okay, it's not urgent. I will buy it during Black Friday so that I can get a discount. Another way is, some people would wait. If you go to a Calvin Klein store, or and in Calvin Klein store, you realize that this thing is $100, but you know that, okay, but in Ross is also, that dress is also going to come down. They're still going to put it in Ross, and then it's going to be $50. I'm sure that some people would wait and say that, okay, it's not like I need it for a wedding tomorrow. It's not like I need it for an event tomorrow. I can wait. Just the same way when it comes to real estate, that's just the same way. You're looking for a motivated seller, right? You are looking for, because if you are going to look at something that is shining, right? And that's exactly what I did. Like the first property that we bought, it was, people were like, we were looking at property, people were negotiating, people were paying higher than the store, than the property. But we said, you know what, I really don't, I mean, I would wait. It's not like I mean, the money was there, I would just wait. Okay, when we find our own deal, we will buy it at that point. And that's exactly what I was doing, to see if does it make sense, because I have a criteria when I'm buying. I do have a criteria when we're buying, and that's what I'll be sharing with you today. Okay. So okay, and also I'll be telling you what strategy, because a lot of times this 20% is what is really intimidating, right? 20%. So our first property, just to give you numbers, our first property was, I think it was one. It was listed at and of course this is years ago. It was listed at 158,500 or something. That was what it was, right? That's what it was. And it's a three bedroom. It's a three bedroom, two and a half bath. No, it's a three bedroom, two bath, one floor. That's one. That's a property that we bought the first time. 158,500. And why did I we stayed within this bracket? Because we're doing it for the first time. Of course, this is not our first home, right? This is our first real estate property. So we did negotiate, and we said, okay, you know what? How much does it we require 20% down? 20% down was 10% of this was 15,800. Okay, times two, that is 30, that's 30, that is 31 3 31 600 thereabout, right? 31 600. That's what we needed. But then there's also the closing cost, right? Closing cost that comes with it. The closing cost, I would typically say, maybe like 3% or whatever, if I remember correctly, was another maybe like 4,800 was what it was, right? But then we were also able to negotiate further, because we said, okay, you know what, when we did inspection and all of that, we were able to negotiate further to 154, no, 153, 800 thereabouts. That's how much then with the closing cost. So it was almost like, okay, maybe 30,000, like 32,000 was all we had to bring in. 32,000 was all we had to bring in. And at that point, you might be wondering, so 32,000 is a lot of money. But remember, these was we started, my why was, okay, my kids 5 to 9, right? Their education, right? That's what it was. And we have been stacking money aside for their 5 to 9. That's the money we're supposed to put in 5 to 9 was part of the money that we put towards the deposit. But then we were also putting some more money aside. So at that point, we realized that, okay, at this point, we're going to be stuck. There's some things, all of those eating out, we started reducing it. Okay. We started reducing eating out. We started making some food at home, all of that, because we know that we had the goal for that year, right? We started and we were like, okay, for this 32,000 divided by 12. Calculator, where's my calculator? 32,000 divided by 12. This thing. Are you trying to play me? So we had 2,600. 2,600, that's what we needed to be saving every single month. So it means every paycheck we had 1,300, right? 1,300 is what we need to have every single month. I mean, every single paycheck. So 2,600 divided by 30 days. So that was $88 every single day. On a daily basis is $88. That's how much we needed to save. Hi Shanti Eyes, how are you? Welcome, Matty Dot. How are you? Welcome. And we're talking about we bought our first rental property. That's what we're talking about. And thank you all for sharing the live. Thank you for all of the likes. Okay. That is what we are talking about. Understanding that building wealth is going to it's based on you using your asset, right? Earning is just going to pay your bills. Earning is what is going to pay your bills, not building. Not it's not going to help you with building wealth. It's what we do with your paycheck is what determines what how you're going to build wealth. So $88 was what we needed. But remember, we already started saving before that time. But for somebody that wants to start, $88 is all that you need to be able to finance that 150,000 or whatever property, or 160,000. And I know you might be wondering, where do I get 160,000 from? But this is our own real life story. Remember how we bought our first rental property. It was basically from our own personal savings. And I will tell you, you might be like, okay, but I don't have this money. We're going to get there. That's why I broke it down to tell you how much do you need by per day, right? $88 was what needed, that what was needed in this situation. Let's assume that we were saving it per day for a whole year. Okay. So having said that, one second. Where are you? Okay, so and I'm just going back to the board, just so we are very very organized. Okay, so in case you're seeing me look aside, so but this is where it starts. Having a lot, putting your down payment is number, this part, and we'll talk about how you can actually get this down payment. Okay, not if you don't have this down payment, other strategies, other ways that you can get this down payment. We're going to be talking about it later, okay? But always, if the best part that always says that use your savings. So, for instance, if you have kids that you're saving 529 and you see that the 529 is not working, but you have already started doing this, you can take some money from there and you can use it. And I mean, you can stop saving the 529 because you cannot take out the 529 that you've put in. You can take the money and start saving it. I know that there's some people in this community that started doing that, but they just stopped putting 529 and put it in an account, in an IU savings account, trying to figure out how best they need to handle it. So that's one way. The other way is you can that some people can actually you can take loan from your 401k. That is another option. You take loan from your 1k and you are paying yourself and you use it towards that payment. Another way is you just simply just saving, putting money aside on a daily basis, on a monthly basis. Think about what you can repurpose. I mean, anyway, we're going to get to that on strategies on how you can get the down payment, because I know that the down payment is one of the things that people are always the down payment and education. It's one of the things that it's like the big deal for people, right, when it comes to real estate investing. All right, so having said that, so that's how we got 20%. It was basically from our own savings, both the money we're saving, putting aside. Then um okay, so when we got this property, okay, just continue with the story. When we bought the property, we had to fix it. I mean, it wasn't like a major fix because it was almost like clean, just a little bit, like the shelf, and to just to make sure it looks clean. It wasn't. It was almost like a ready home in this case. It was almost like it was a ready home, right? So whatever we spent on it was like less than $1,000, and then we fixed the property. We did fix the property, and we put it on the market. We put it on the market for the first. We rented it to a couple, and that couple was paying us 1,500. Remember, one of the rules that I always talk about is 1% rule, right? 1% rule. This property, why did I buy it? Why did we buy it at that point? We bought it because we could rent it out for 1,500, which is almost 10% and 1% of 153,000. Okay, and then what was the interest? Then the interest was pretty low. I think it was like 3% or something, or it was really low in terms of mortgage. It was pretty low, and that's what. So he was already cash flowing. He was cash flowing at least $500. Now that tenant, they stayed there for 2 years. two more, I mean, like people have been in and out. Right now it's vacant, but in and out, people have been coming into that property every single year. It's been returning. I mean, the past one, it's even gone up. Like the cash flow is now, cash flow is about 800 every single month. That is money. This 500, this 800 goes towards into the account of the kid, right? Because it's going in there. And remember, we are paying whatever we are paying. Maybe mortgage is about, I think mortgage is about, it's actually less than 1200. Mortgage is less than 1200 because remember the rent also has gone up. Right now the rent is about 1800 thereabout. I think, yeah, it's 1800. That's what the mortgage is. So we are cash, our cash flow is about 600, 600 to 650. That's what it gives because we are putting extra towards the principal on this property. That's what we are doing. So what does this simply mean? It means that we've had it for several years now. It means that the number of years that we've had it, we have been paying the mortgage. The whatever of this house is, maybe it's just, even if it's above 100,000, or it's way the balance of the mortgage is less than 100,000 right now. So and the kids are not even yet 18. So we can definitely keep this property and just say, okay, you know what? When they are going, it's almost going to be fully paid off, almost fully paid off. Now you might be wondering, what is the value of that property? The property is knocking around between 230 to 250. That's what it's looking like because it's gone. I mean, it's not up to 10 years, but that property is, it's more than, it's right now, it's gotten almost 100,000, 80 to 100,000 is what it has appreciated. Remember, we bought it 150. It's between 280 because, of course, the market is, the rental market for some reason is down because all of this is happening. But at some point, it was 250. I think so between 250 and 230 is where it is. So it simply means, what does this mean? If we have, let's assume that we have a mortgage of 100,000 left by the time this kid goes to college, right? We can simply take 60%, is it 60%, 70% of that 150. Remember, if the value is 250,000 and the balance is 100,000, that means we have equity of 150. That means we can assets close to like 100,000 to fund the kids' education. But remember, we've also been saving either 500 or 650 at some point, just putting it in the account every single month, increasing the value. I mean, increasing how much we are putting, towards this. And that's the beauty of real estate. And the other beautiful thing, I've talked about appreciation. I've talked about the cash flow, right? Okay. I've talked about appreciation. I've talked about, these are ways. So there's the 650 that is coming here. There's the 50, the how much? Okay, the 1200. Let's assume 700 goes towards my principal, or maybe 600, because remember there's the PMI and all of that. Let's say 600 goes towards my principal. Like I owe $150,000. I mean, I owe $100,000. Think about it in another 3 years. Remember, when it comes to mortgage, it's not a straight. They don't use straight line method, right? In the early years, you pay more, right? It's what do they call it? I forgot. My brain just skipped that right now. If anybody can remind me, amortization method. Like in the beginning years, you are paying so much towards the interest, but later in the years, you are paying less. Okay, so the in the coming years, I mean, right now we are paying more towards the principal compared to year one, year two, year three, year four. So it means that very soon, we don't be surprised, in another 3 years, we already have maybe less than 50,000. And that's not even compared to, when we also put an additional amount towards the principal, then we can even pay it off in less than another 3 years. What does that simply mean? It simply means that this property, maybe at that time, is worth 270. Let's even be conservative. In another 3 years, let's say it's 270,000. I have simply done, and we have let's say we paid it off let's even say 5 years, right? In 5 years, we paid it off, right? 5 years we paid it off is 270,000. Now it means that I have a whole 270,000 that I can use, or the kid can use to go for their education. They are seated there. The beauty of it is that if they get scholarship, all that we're still not going to take it for them. By the way, that property is not in their name, right? So if their mates are getting, if they need college finance or whatever, all those grants that they get, they can still get it, right? They can still get it because it is not in their name. But we know that, okay, when that time comes, we can simply say that, okay, because you have done well, let's assume that they get scholarship. It, unlike that's the difference between the five tuner, right? Well, let's assume that they get scholarship. We can easily say that, oh, you know what? You got scholarship. You've done well because you earned it. When you're getting married, we're going to give you this property. And that's where the wealth is built. And of course, just imagine this at old age. If I tell you that you have to do the same thing for my grandkid, you don't have any choice than to do the same thing and take that same property and say that, you know what, my parents have done this because you did not start with a college loan. I know that, I mean, if your parents, some of us, especially in some of the communities, you say that your parents did not pay, your parents did not do college loan, right? You did not have to pay college loan. Your parents paid for you. There's no reason why you also want your kids to go through, college debt, right? That's the mentality of certain people. That's the same way you also do it. And then that is how generation wealth is passed. And you might be wondering, I am just saying this story. The same story that I'm talking about right now, you can use it for yourself. It doesn't have to be for the kids. Because if you can do it for the kids, I'm just telling you how our own real estate journey emerged. Remember, it's about how we bought our first real estate property, how we got into it. Some people got into it, okay, because of some other reason, but this is how we got into it. Okay. Anybody, if you care to share, anybody with 529, and let me know how it's working. Let me know if you have kids and you have 529 for them. And by the way, if you don't have any plan when it comes to the kids' education, please start having plans because it's going to be, you might be thinking that there's college loans and whatever at that point. You just want to, no matter how small, even if it's $50, put it aside. Okay, put it aside. And I'm not here to talk about kids and all of that, even though I'm very passionate about that. But I am just telling you my story and how you can actually use real estate to build wealth. And thank you all for tapping out the life. I know we are all locked in. If you can tap out that one to all the way to 1,000, that would be great. And it's just basically tapping it out the screen, tapping it out. And if you've been here for another 5 minutes and you find this interesting, consider having your daily at me. Okay, it's 1 cent. Okay, it's in the bag. It's under there, and you can just get it. It just tells you when we are live. It tells you, what's happening. I will recognize you as also a part of this community when you're here, and you can. That also helps you as well. And thank you all for sharing the live, so we can have more people come to this live, and it would help them. Go Popular is also another one, good one. It costs also 1 coin because it's going to push this community to become popular, and then we have more people that can learn about personal finance, right? That's what it's all about, and that's what I'm preaching because my why is to get as much people to build personal finance, right? Build wealth for them to have wealth. Okay, build wealth. Goal is that in 10 years, by 2036, we are all become, I mean, we build more millionaires. You'll become a millionaire because if you follow the steps, that's what's going to happen. Thank you all for sharing the life and thank you for the like. Shanti Ice, thank you so much for doing that. Give me one sec. Give me one sec. Oh, come on. Come on. What? Okay.